Does gold, silver and maybe copper really have a chance to go up? Until now, gold at least did not have any chance, seemingly at least. But is there a possible door for a stairway to heaven? Let's have a closer look what the chart is telling us. Maybe we'll find a solution to enter the market, at least for one side or the other. We will see which one is the right one. Stick with me and we will have a closer look. So let's start with gold. Until now, the market situation indeed is not very good for gold. Why is it like this? Let's have a closer look at the 4-hourly chart, and you can easily see that, of course, we have an uptrend in this situation, but you can see that we have a break here, we have a setback here, we have something now here. So we have a lot of overlapping. If this is the highest point here, even then we have some overlappings here. And if this is not the highest point, if the market will continue for higher highs, even that one, then you can see it is another overlapping here as well. So whatever it is, with or without another high here, this is a corrective pattern, and this is indicating it's not the perfect situation to be long in gold currently. Of course, sometimes in between there are chances. Currently the market is moving downwards. You can see this in the hourly chart here with strong movements to the downside. This one for the first time, this one. Maybe now the market is coming upwards. So as long as the market is taking an up movement in a very corrective pattern, ABC pattern, or shaky like this one with a lot of overlappings here in the movement, then you can expect that the market, when breaking this level, will continue here to the downside. Unfortunately, or I don't know how I should name it, but this current situation is also not the best for a strong movement to the downside. However, if you have something like this in the near future, for example, in an hourly chart, 4-hourly chart, whatever it is, or even on a lower time frame, you have a chance to sell short this market. Currently, you can see this in a weekly chart, that I blurred out a little bit this one. It's still possible. It's not 100% over, of course, but with this situation here, with this really corrective looking pattern here, you can see this with these many price sharing the price, the same price level here. This is indicating that the market is not in the best state for buyers currently. So what shall we do? To be honest, I was a little bit keen of selling short the market when it looked a little bit like this. This could be an idea to sell short the market at that point here, breaking through this last intermediate low. This one, the first one, the second one, and this is a low in between. So this could be a trigger for a short selling the market. Unless the market is not breaking this here, unless the market or until the market is staying over this level here, I would not sell short the market on the big picture. However, it is always interesting to see how this movement looks like. Perfectly, it looks in a strong way, something like here, strong to the downside and weak to the upside. So I was expecting, or I was looking for something like this here. So let's compare what I was looking for and what we got. And you can see this is somehow quite shaky here this way. Is this idea over? Can we expect this will never happen here again? Well, there is a chance. It's not the perfect situation, but there is a chance that the beginning is still here. We have something like an ABC pattern here, and now we are continuing to the downside. So what I definitely don't want to see in the next few hours is an overshooting of this level. If the market is coming in something like this, this is continuing or is indicating that the market will continue to the downside when breaking this intermediate high here, for example. So I could go with the short sell side, but it's not the perfect situation as long as the market is not giving us an ABC or shaky corrective pattern here to the upside. Otherwise, I would not sell short the market currently. So even when breaking this level, but the market is moving in a way like this, I would not sell short at that point, because this would look very corrective. So for me, it's really important when breaking this level that we see some strong movement. So if the market is doing something like this and continuing strongly, then there is a chance that this is something like a first wave to the downside, a second to the upside. We are in the third wave here, and you have a smaller 1, 2, smaller 3, 4, and fifth wave, something like this, and then bigger correction and continuation here to the downside. So you can see we are still in the mood for continuing to the downside. It is not necessarily the 1600, but something around that would help, of course. Many buyers would find their way back to the bull side because they said, okay, now it's over. Now we are at the lower end of this trend channel. This is not a must-have, but it is really typical. And many people are expecting, after this really not nice looking market here, that the market is not continuing currently to the upside, but coming down for or the ending situation here for this corrective pattern. Okay, that's it from gold. Of course, we will do some updates within the week, so stick with us. If you are following BORN-4-Trading, for example, you will get information if there's a good trading situation with gold, for example. You get our entry points, our approved setup with all the entry and exit levels, of course, but this is the raw idea. So if you want to have a close look by yourself, you have an idea maybe what we are expecting. So let's have a closer look at silver. What can we expect here? The situation is completely different. You can see that we had the same starting point, and this is the highest point here. And of course we have also not a perfect situation, but because of the length of these pattern here and this one, I would roughly say this is a corrective pattern here, and we have currently a corrective pattern. So I see a chance to see a continuation to the upside first. So if you are wondering, is this possible? Can silver gain while gold is falling? Yes, it can. We had this several times. Many people are thinking this is a one-on-one relation. When gold is rising, then silver has to do the same, and vice versa. But that's not the truth. It can be that while gold is still falling, silver is turning already. You can see, if you see the longer term picture, you can see that we have completely different situation. Gold here was not at the lowest peak like a silver in March last year. And so this complete situation here was different, and also the corrective pattern here looks a little bit different in silver than in gold. So shall we buy this one? I normally don't do that. Why do I think this is not the perfect one? Because it is the last gaining. So it should be the fifth wave, something like this. It is a continuation, maybe leading us to this area here, 25, 25 roughly. Can be a little bit higher, can be a little bit low. Chances for that are quite good. So if you really want to, you can try to trade this long when breaking through this level. On the other side, the risk-reward ratio sometimes is not really good for this one, because you still have to keep in mind there is a chance that the market is only coming like this, triggering you for the long side and then continuing to the downside. This is possible. But to be honest, by size, by measurement of, for example, this middle movement here, it is more or less the highest probability that we will see a continuation first, and after that a setback here like this, an ABC pattern or something like this. Maybe while silver is doing this, gold has a stronger plunge. Maybe it's going down really strong, while silver is coming down only in a corrective pattern. And that's what I'm looking for the next bull market run. So when the market is doing this, so I would wait for this one first. The second is I would wait for a shaky move to the downside, or something like an ABC movement here into the mid area here. You remember maybe the Fibonacci relation roughly said, we don't know the exact point of this highest point here. Maybe it is 25, can be a little bit higher, but just an educated guess that the market is coming into this area here, which is really, really typical, 38.2, 50, maybe 61.8. Can be a little bit higher, can be a little bit lower, but roughly at this level in an ABC manner. Then you can expect, when breaking this level, to see something like this again. So if this is the first wave here, and it is because the market came from higher grounds, if you see a first wave up, an ABC down, then you can expect something like this. And this is indicating that we don't only have to expect something like 27. This is maybe the indication that this bull market movement is starting maybe until 40 or whatever here in silver in the next few months. So situation in silver is quite good. However, I would prefer to wait for this one because I prefer not to trade the fifth wave because of its uncertain length. And if you have this one, you have the good expectation that we can have a rock solid entry point. You have a stop level, for example, and some good idea where the market will lead to. However, silver currently seems to be in good mood, seems to be in a perfect situation. Can we confirm this on the hourly chart? Let's have a closer look. This is a downtrend, definitely. And we have this low here. And best would be if this is overlapping with this one, and you could see, yes, this is overlapping. So it looks a little bit like something like a corrective pattern here with overlapping this one and this one. This is not a 100% sureness that this is a corrective pattern. It could be something like a leading diagonal, but the percentage for a leading diagonal is quite low, so it's roughly 10%, 14%, 12%, depends on the situation and size. However, this is way more realistic that this is a corrective pattern than leading diagonal. So my first idea is to expect something like this. So instead of waiting for this trigger and trading the fifth wave, we can easily also have a closer look at this time frame here on the hourly chart, and as long as the market is going up here, coming down here, then we can trade the third wave and stay in for the rest of the wave until the same target we can expect here at that point. So I think this is the better choice to trade the lower time frame here instead of the whole fifth wave. How can we have an educated guess where this market is leading us? There's some typical way to measure this. Just let's have a closer look. Let's tidy up a little bit. So the first is, the typical is the continuation of the first wave. In this case, I would suggest this is the first wave. If I'm not sure, I normally take the smallest one because I always try to find the worst situation. If even the worst situation is acceptable for me, then the better situation is acceptable for me anyway. So no worries at all. So I'm measuring the first one here. And if this is the low, then we can expect the 100% projection. This one, again, at that point. This is really typical. It's not absolutely correct measurement. It's just an educated guess, just to have, what shall I think of? What can I expect? So first wave, again, for the fifth wave, is a typical estimation. It's not more than an estimation, but it's an estimation. The second possibility is to measure the first until the end of the third. But in this case, not the one-on-one projection, the 100%, but the 38.2 or the 61.8. And you can see in this case, both are clustering really, really well. This is happening very often. Whenever you see this, you can have an educated guess that the market has a good idea to come to this level. And at that point, many traders will think, shall we stay in? Shall we turn around? What shall we do? So this is a good estimation where this market can lead to. So if you really want to trade this one here, going long at that point, this is a first target. It can go higher, but this is the first one you have to expect that the market will turn around. You can also measure the extension. For extensions, you measure the counter movements, which is this one. This is not leading to any really rock solid cluster, but you can leave it on. So I think there's a chance that the fifth wave is roughly ending in this area here when leading us to the higher levels. So you can decide by yourself whether this is working for you or not, but this is something we can expect when the market is breaking here, that the market will overshoot this level and coming around this level here, roughly 25, in this trading idea. So what is copper doing? Because many people are having a closer look on copper, I decided to give it a chance here in this video as well. And this is one of our last drawings. I'm not absolutely sure when we showed this. I'm not sure you have been aware of this one, but there is a chance that the movement currently is still going on. So that we have a continuation of the corrective pattern. Why is it like this? In, I guess it was silver, I told you, if you have something like this, a really strong move to the upside, you could expect that the corrective pattern is leading us to 38.2, 50, maybe 61.8. So roughly, I would expect that the market is dropping into this box here. It is a little bit too short. It is okay, maybe, but it's a little bit too short. I prefer to see lower prices here, and it is time-wise, it is also okay. You can see it's exactly on the line. This is a slope indicator we invented because this is giving us an idea. This is the angle of the rising market. This is the same for the falling market here, and it's the same speed here at that point. It is okay, but it is maybe a better chance that the market is coming down for a last setback and then continuing. How can it be? There's a typical pattern. It's an ABC pattern followed by an ABC pattern followed by a strong move to the downside. If you did not see this before, you did see this before, I guess, because Dow Jones did it. DAX did it. The German DAX did it, for example. So many markets do it regularly. This is a really typical corrective pattern. Just to give you an idea how it looks in theoretical way, you can see it looks like this. It's an ABC pattern to the downside, an ABC pattern to the upside, and a really strong wave to the downside. And to give you an impression how often this occurs, you can see these flats are 1/3 of all corrective pattern are flat. And in commodity markets, and copper of course is commodity, it's even a higher rate that you can expect this pattern. So it is really typical to see something like this. So I think there's a good chance that also in this case we can expect that the market is still not ready with this or over. This corrective pattern is not over. There's still more to come, so that we can have some lower levels here. It does not necessarily need to go there. It is just an idea. It can also just be like this maybe, and then continue to the upside. Maybe this is a little more realistic, but I'm not sure currently, of course. Why do I think so? This is just by seeing a typical, from probability pattern, which we can normally expect with copper. But on the other side, when switching to the daily chart, you can see this was the lowest point here. And in the case that this is really the end of the whole corrective pattern, I would expect the next strong move like we've seen here. Strong move like this. And strong movements are looking like this, or if not like this, they have some breathers or some corrective patterns. But normally they are not overlapping. You can see, yes, they have, like this here, for example. You see, they have a breather. Also here, the same. But you can see normally there is some space in between. You have a strong and a break, and a strong and a break, and something like this. Here, different time scales maybe. But in this case, you can see from that lowest point here, we had a strong move to the upside, setback, strong move to the upside, setback, but this one is below what we've seen here. So what I've seen here from here to here, or even if this is continuing later, this looks like a corrective pattern. Do you remember what we are talking about gold? It is roughly the same, but on a 4-hourly chart there. So I think we have quite a good chance that this is only a corrective pattern. This would mean that this is not the real trend direction. This is a counter trend direction, and we need another drop to the downside. Of course, I'm not 100% sure, but this is a very typical way of moving in the market. So I'm bullish, yes, but I think it's not the very best point to enter the market at the current levels. I think there's a chance that the market will continue to lower levels, let's say 3.8 or something like this. If you want to enter the market, either ways, it is quite good to have a closer look on the lower time frames, for example on the hourly chart. So what we see here is not as strong as the up move, but it is still quite strong movement. And in case the market is now coming up in this way, I definitely would sell short this market for at least one more time, targeting 4 or even below that. So if the market is giving us something like this, and also in this case you can just use the Fibonacci's to measure, is this corrective pattern big enough? If this pattern is leading us into this, into this area roughly, then we have a good chance that this market is continuing when breaking this level here. In case the market is now turning in a strong way and shaky way to the upside, I would say, maybe I'm wrong, maybe the market did something completely different, I would try to trade the bullish side. But in this case, this needs to be a really strong movement to the upside, and this needs to be a really corrective pattern. I would at least expect that this will happen again, a one-on-one projection in this case. So you can see gold and copper is not the best situation currently. It is maybe, it is starting a new, or giving us a new low, so giving us a better point to enter, because I'm quite bullish for them on the long run. But currently it seems that the market participants are not believing in the bull market, so they are not willing to invest in this market currently. So that's maybe the reason why silver is on a completely different way. Silver is something in between. Silver is something like a precious metal, of course, but on the other side it is some industrial metal. So it is something in between both copper and gold, and obviously currently in a different situation. What we will get, we will see. I hope this is helping you for your own trading decisions. If you want to have more, please press subscribe, and of course the like button, so that I know that this is helping you. And if you have any comment, leave it below the video so that I can help you maybe with other ideas and other things in the near future. Crossing my fingers for you. In Germany we do this, and internationally it's more like this. I'm hoping the best for you, and seeing you soon. Bye bye.